Holy cliffhanger, what an ending to the penultimate episode, to the season finale, the series finale of Servant. Man, what a cliffhanger of an ending. That really got us there. I mean, tremendous job by both Shyamalans, really. We're going to give them both props here. M. Night's daughter wrote the script for this episode, and M. Night himself directed this one. And both of them really shined, on some of their strengths throughout this episode. I'm going to highlight them as we go along in this recap and review. But before I do get into that, I have to say, thank you for all of you who have tuned in weekly. For those of you who have been around since since I started doing these reviews back in season 2. I didn't review season 1, but I did a season 2 full recap review. I did season 3 episode by episode, and now for season 4, we've been doing it episode by episode. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I've just been happy to hear your thoughts down below and just get a different perspective from different people. But with that being said, let's get right into the episode. The meat of this episode was really, Dorothy trying to find a way to sneak out of her house while without Leanne, without raising any suspicions from Leanne. And I love that sort of cat and mouse game that was going on between Leanne and Dorothy, where, every time Dorothy would suggest something or come up with something or try and make Leanne feel, sort of at ease and feel comfortable enough for Dorothy to slip through her and get out of the house and not be detected by Leanne. I love that throughout this episode, that little cat and mouse game going on between them, the suspense when Dorothy was, trying to get out of the house. I mean, the sound design too, when she's, taking, the walker across the creaking wooden floor, and the planks are just, making those, old, wooden floor noises. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is so loud. And Leanne at one point even stops taking Jericho a bath because she's like, I can hear that very, very awfully loud noise. And is that Dorothy trying to get away? We stop, we pause, and then she's like, nah, and then you hear the water running, and it's just excellently done there. But some of the things that I wanted to highlight were M. Night's directing in this episode. Man, I love when he gets weird with his shots. Some people find it a little disorienting. I think that's kind of sometimes the purpose of why he does these sort of shots that sort of are very unconventional, and you don't see in a lot of other movies or TV shows. Like, for example, when Julian is just in tears and just coming out to Dorothy with the truth in the car. Rupert Grint's face, well, by the way, brilliant performance by Rupert Grint in this episode, by Toby Kebbell, by Lauren Ambrose, everybody involved, but especially Now Tiger Free in the ending, which we're going to talk about in a second. But when he is just bawling out to Dorothy and letting her know the truth, the way the camera angle was fixed on him, and we know Dorothy, half of Dorothy's head is blocking. We're only seeing half of his face, and I know it added some extra emotional punch to the performance, which is already good enough. And then when Dorothy is starting to realize the truth, and we're gonna head into that flashback sequence where we find out, from Dorothy's perspective, what exactly happened the day after that Jericho was found to be, dead, deceased. And the way the camera was like slowly pushing in on her, but at certain points while it was pushing in, it would stop and like kind of pull back. I love that effect that it created on screen, where it just felt very disorienting. And it's like you got in the psyche, you got in the mind of Dorothy in that moment, where it's like her whole world is sort of like in shambles right now, and she's kind of going through a whirlwind of emotions. I love the way that M. Night portrayed that in that car sequence. And man, that was sort of the heart of this episode, with the way that entire sequence was captured and performed by the actors. I loved everything about it. That whole sequence was really it felt like a worthy payoff. It felt like a worthy sort of Sean and Julian, sort of opening up to about the secret of what was going on with Dorothy this whole time, and why they have found themselves in this situation. And then when Dorothy, starts like clawing at Sean's face, and she claws at Julian's face and like elbows Sean right in the face, and she gets out, and they have to go after her, and like all of them are like super weak, physically weak at the moment, but they're, this is like the first time we see this family truly embrace, and it's out there on the sidewalk in the rain, and it's just, I love the way it all came together. So hats off to that entire sequence. I loved it all. And then when they finally do bring Dorothy back into the house after Sean and Julian have told her the truth, this is where I want to give props to M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, whose name escapes me at the moment, but I loved the dialogue choices that were in this scene where Sean and Julian are like, hey, Leanne, she knows the truth, it's over. And Leanne's like, no, 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 no. I haven't even begun to get this. I haven't even begun to sink my teeth, my fangs, even deeper into Dorothy. I haven't even begun to do that. And she starts, giving Dorothy this whole soliloquy about, yes, things are different, things are weird, but I did that for you. And the whole time, Sean and Julian are, sort of off screen, or Julian, we can see in the reflection of a mirror, we can see half of Sean's like shoulder and his arm like on Dorothy in the right hand side of the frame, and we can see Leanne for a second in the mirror, but then as she's getting closer and closer to, or we see her off screen and she's speaking, and her voice is getting sort of softer and softer, as if like she's getting, like deeper into our ear. And then finally, the whole time the camera's fixated on Dorothy. But then at one point, Leanne just sort of like just slowly creeps into frame from the left hand side. And gosh, that was so wonderfully executed. Again, it was just a combination of just the great writing in this episode and the great direction. Both the Shyamalans really executed this episode, I think, to almost near perfection. I was enthralled throughout. I was entertained throughout. And again, you're ending on a cliffhanger. Man, it sets up for a very fun finale to the Servant series. And I gotta say, for those of you who have been, Team Leanne, I gotta say now, I'm starting to feel like maybe she doesn't need to die, and I really do think that this series can sort of end on a note where, sort of, it's not a happy ending for everybody, but I mean happy in terms of everybody survives and everybody can come to terms with, what is healthy not only for the Turner family but for Leanne as well, and maybe there is a way where all of our main characters can sort of, get some sort of comfort by the end of this series. Whether that means they're going to live happily ever afters, no one in this series is probably going to get a happily ever after. I don't think that's going to happen for the Turners. I don't think that's going to happen for Leanne. But I think maybe now that the window is possibly open for Leanne to not have to, basically perish, like I was thinking in the previous couple of episodes. But yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and wait and see for next week. It's going to be a fun ride, hopefully. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking though in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say for the penultimate episode of Servant. Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, if you want us to stay up to date on all the latest in the world of movie and TV news, well, you're in the right place. And I hope you consider subscribing to the channel because I would love to have you along for the ride. But until next time, this has been Millennium Movies, and I will see you all very soon.